Hello, family. This is your brother Vine Peace to you, peace to your home, peace to your community, peace to your ancestry, peace to my community, peace to my ancestry, and peace to the nation that you, I, and they are building. Peace also to the Goddic forces, the great spirit above, the mother below. This is Mtima Radi, everybody. Mtima Radi, Soul Lightning. So, in late September, a little bit, I think it was the 21st, if I remember correctly. I had to go to the ER with some chest pains. Turned out, I had to stay overnight actually. Turned out, I had a really bad case of bronchitis and a horrible, horrible, horrible upper respiratory infection, which put me down for much of the last 3-4 weeks. So I've actually recorded a couple of videos during that interim. It took a lot of energy to do so, but I did them. One of which the audio is fantastic. Video, not so much. So I have to get those uploaded to you guys. But something happened while I was in the hospital. I stayed one night, and that night was somewhat restless, but it was also full. I had a number of dreams, and one of which included a very interesting and probably possibly at like the deepest moment that I was asleep, dream that it involved Dr. Francis Cress Welsing. Couldn't believe it. Absolutely couldn't believe it. So here was the dream. Just like those of you who heard my previous dream with Bobby Hammett, which I've actually had a couple of other ones with him in it too. But this is kind of the same thing. I was attending a lecture with her, and the lecture was present tense because she made reference to the coronavirus. She made reference to Donald Trump. She made reference to Joe Biden. She made reference to a whole lot of things. It was a very good lecture. And even though I was sleeping wise, I was probably only there sleeping wise for like an hour. The lecture clearly went on for a couple of hours. That stated, I got to say this because I think this is one of the things that like just jumped out at me. She was not the age that she died at. She was probably, I don't know how many of you have seen her Melanin Conference video from like the early 80s. She was probably more around that age. And just the power that emitted from her was amazing. And it was clear that in the audience was both ancestors who were incarnating and thus were most likely sleeping like I was, and ancestors who were not incarnated presently. There was clearly some people, I could identify them through what they were wearing, who were preparing to be incarnated. One of the interesting people that was there, a couple of them actually, was Dr. Amos Wilson. He was there, though he looked significantly younger too, and John Hendrik Clark, who did not look significantly younger, but had his sight back. I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing one of his lectures soon, because if I remember correctly, he is still lecturing very heavily up there. But anyway, so when the lecture ended, and she did make a prediction on who would win uh, the presidency. She said it would most likely be Joe Biden, but she couldn't tell because of she still believed that Donald Trump could win because he was still talking the most blatantly about white supremacy and controlling the non-white population. And she said that might tip him over the edge, but she wasn't ready to make that strong of a prediction yet. But she did say that white supremacy would become an even greater threat to black life in this country as time progresses, especially as the economic situation grows more and more dire, and black folks better wake up to the reality that we have been in the midst of a culture war to destroy our image, and to get us to accept that destroyed image as reality. We have done nothing to turn that back. And the consequences of that may in fact be in 10 or 15 years an attempt to purge this continent of us and other non-white people. She brought up the Nazis and reminded the people in the audience that the Nazis got their frame of reference, their ideas, mostly from us, though it was really a pan-European collaborative effort. And we don't typically talk a lot about pan-Europeanism. We do talk about pan-Africanism, but pan-Europeanism is really what has molded this world. And we have to become strong in our belief that we can defeat it. Because if we don't become strong in that belief, it will seek to destroy us, and we won't be ready to fight it. So she also said that she was encouraged by the young people, as she put it, the young people, she put it, who have an intolerance, a severe intolerance, so many of them, for white supremacy, and whom, though they may not be able to ask the right questions, want to know how to undo it. And this is not just with black folks. There's some white people who are in this camp too, but not enough of them. Not enough of them. At the end of the lecture, I chose to kind of hang around, as I did with Bobby Hemmett. And, some of the conversations were nice. Amos Wilson, John Hendrick Clark obviously had their moments with her, and I couldn't hear what they were saying. But when there were like 2 or 3 people left in the room, I approached Dr. Wilson. And give me 1 second, family. Give me 1 second. Okay, I'm back. I wanted to make sure I got all this straight so I could tell it to you like it is, okay? So I approached her, and to my utter surprise, she knew who I was. Now, look, on the Ancestral Realm, you gotta understand something, ladies and gentlemen. To know who somebody is not a big deal. And I shouldn't have been surprised, but I was. And I was surprised because there are, for lack of a better word, tribes in the Ancestral Realm, and they're not like we think of them. They're there for spiritual purposes. A tribe may draw from a specific group of planets or a specific group of dimensions, or or may be formed for a specific purpose. So if you come upon the planet and you are placed here to care for the planet specifically. There may be a tribe specifically for that, to advance technologies and ideas in the scientific realm. There may be a tribe for that, but the majority of the time, the tribes are really just, drawn from specific not generations, dimensions and planets and such. So there's a lot of them. There's a lot of them. There's hundreds of them, to be honest with you. And you don't know everybody, but you do know a lot of everybody. And when you come across somebody, it's, what we do down here, black folks, what we do down here is we match people with who their kinfolk is. And up there, it's kind of the same way. You come across somebody and you automatically say, okay, this person okay, because of what they're wearing, they're from this tribe, or because of the way they're speaking, they're from this tribe. And so I know this person from this tribe, that person from this tribe, and then you match in your mind where they might be at, and then, maybe ask them some questions or what have you. But she knew who I was. And she knew who I was based on the tribe, I guess, that I was in. I did ask her, though, like, how did you know me? And she did tell me, but I can't remember, like, what she said. Anyway, I remember her smiling at me, and she goes, I was hoping that you came by, because I know you missed my last lecture. And, the last lecture was a doozy. I actually got to talk to Dr. Welsing one time in my life. One time. I called into a program that she was being interviewed on, and I asked her a question. And I shared with her the existence of an article that she might find interesting. And she said that she would look it up. And in the dream, now, you can take this for whatever it's worth. You can say, well, that's just your mind playing with you or whatever. But she referenced the article and she said, that article was really, really interesting to me. And what was terrible about the fact that I died was that she said she was planning on writing a paper based on the article which I had shared with her. And she said the article was really interesting and really suggested the war was being stepped up in Africa against black people. So thank you for that. Well, I said to her that, one second, I'm back. I said to her, thank you for that honor. And, I'm very glad you could find it helpful. And then she gave me a message to give to all of you. And she said, I know you, do the recording stuff and what have you, but I have a message and I'd like for you to deliver it. I'm like, okay, cool. And she made a really interesting joke about, she was never a technologically savvy person. And so if she had been alive for the pandemic, she's like, I don't know what I would have done because I would have been talking to everybody on my old phone. So she said to me, though, after we got done laughing about that, because John Henrik Clarke said something about computers, and he goes, I'm glad I checked out before before your age, young man, because Lord knows if I was there with all this stuff, man, I wouldn't know what to do. So, anyway, so she says to me that when she died, she was in the process of writing a follow-up, a significant follow-up to the ISIS papers. That she was actually organizing her thoughts and reorganizing some of her papers to produce another ISIS papers. And she said the reason for doing that was to kind of put a capstone on her theory and on the work of her lifetime. The second ISIS papers which she was going to call. Hang on, real quick. I'm sorry, family. All right, so I'm back. She was going to call either like the ISIS papers addendum, or she said that if she had thought about it, which she might have if she, had lived to actually complete it, she would have called it the Heteru papers or the Heteru project, because that was the dominant energy that was coming in now, along with the ISIS energy. She said she had a collection of 24 to 44. Yeah, 24 to 44 papers that she was looking at reworking, rewriting for publication. And these were, she had produced a couple hundred papers throughout her lifetime that she considered significant enough to warrant public consumption. Well, she was going through those papers, and she thought in her mind that she could identify between 24 and 44 of those papers immediately that needed to be reworked and then published in a book for the consumption of the black population. Now, she had some reservations because she was going to tackle homosexuality, feminism, and some other things that white society was not going to be happy about. But these were things that black folks needed to reconsider and think about. She also had planned in her mind to start releasing. Somebody had come to her with this idea in like 2015 to start releasing her what was it called? I believe they called it the Welsing Institute. So those videos that had been being recorded for years, she was going to start releasing those on YouTube, and the really good ones, she was kind of up in the air about, but the person wanted her to sell those in order to supplement her income and stuff. But those were the plans. She was already in the beginning stages of planning that book. And, I said to her, I go, Dr. Welsing, if you had published that book would have definitely been longer than the ISIS papers. And it would have changed the world. And she goes, yep, I know. It would have definitely been longer. Would it have changed the world? I don't know, but it would have definitely been longer. And thinking about it, family, I have a book here by Wade Nobles. And that book is kind of the culmination of all of his life's work. And I think it's about 600, 700 pages. Man, let me show it to you. Here it is, fam. There you go. Seeking the Sekou. And it actually, because thick pages, it's just slightly over 400 pages. It's okay. But her work would have definitely been a little bit longer than that. She then told me how she had started to really figure out that how we were being played and manipulated to move away from where we needed to be as a society, as a group of people in this country. and how she herself had fallen victim to some of the same misdeeds that had helped to take down the civil rights movement. Now, she wasn't worried about, the harm that may have done, because she said everybody has their day. And those who carried out misjustices against the black population will have their day. But she was disappointed a bit that she didn't have time to actually publish that book. And then she made a mention of the fact that she almost started the book back in 2008, and she kept putting it off. So, the tragedy that I came away with was the fact that she didn't get to publish that book. I mean, forget about 24, man. I was looking forward to seeing those full 44, pieces of, my mind tells me that on average, they would have been between 15 and like 30, 40 pages, So to have a book, the Heteru Papers by Francis Chris Welsing, and to be able to read that and digest that, it's powerful. I would encourage, if anybody knows a way, and I can't even, I think her name is Patricia Brown, but there is a psychologist who studied under Dr. Welsing. Man, that is something that needs to be done. That book needs to be written and published. She has a lot of papers that she would like to actually be distributed, because it would help the black population, and it should be done. And, even if it's more than 44, who cares? Get them out. Get them out. I did ask her a question because I was curious, I've attended lectures now on the ancestral realm for Bobby Hemmett, Martin Luther King, Francis Chris Welsing. There's been others too, but those are the ones that come to mind. Dr. Amos Wilson, and again, many others. But I asked her, I said, how is it that I'm able to actually attend these? And she's like, anyone can attend them, because I've even attended like Native American ritual dances. Those are pretty fun. But she said anyone can attend them as long as you got the right spiritual essence to you. You can definitely cross over the threshold to attend these. And I go, yeah, but why? And she's like, what do you mean why? And I go, you're in the ancestral realm. How do I get here to, usually we're not allowed that close, because if we go there, we don't want to come back. She's like, no. This is the kind of like the nether world in between. The ancestral world has kind of built this place where we can go for advice, for counsel, and educational purposes. That is in the netherworld. Now, non-illuminous beings can't get in there. It's protected from evil beings and stuff like, things like that. So, but it does exist. And I'm telling you this because most of you don't know it exists. So like you've cut off this great resource that can help expand you spiritually. For those of you who are worried, like, wait a minute, you're telling me this, you're telling a lot of other people this, and this is going to end up resulting in people there who shouldn't be there. Trust me, it ain't gonna end up resulting in nobody there who ain't supposed to be there. Trust me. Trust me. They got this thing on lock. It ain't, yeah, nothing is going down there that shouldn't go down there. Now the reason why you're amnesic, the reason why you don't remember, is because when you came through and you came into your body, you took on part of the cultural fabric of the country which you're born into. And because America redirects spiritual energy into materialism, into a deep behavior or a deep need for behavioral consumption, we forget very rapidly the spiritual strands that we have access to that can actually buoy us and pull us up. So that's why you forgot. That's why you forget about the ancestral realm. That's why you forget about the ancient orders. That's why you forget about the elderhoods. That's why you forget about why you're here. That's why you believe that there's no reason for you to be here. Not to mention, in the first 4 years of your life, you go through a process of, it's a word that I created years ago. And it really is what happens to us. It's deconsciousing. Where they literally, through television, like, parents should never set their kids in front of a damn TV. Ever. And when I say kids, I mean all the way down to toddlerhood. I see parents put 4-month-old, 6-month-old, 9-month-old, 12-month-old, 15-month-old, all the way through. I see them set them in front of televisions. They don't even understand that TV is constructing their worldview, even at that young age. It's reorganizing their brains, and it's reorganizing the pattern within their body, the neurological pattern within their body. That actually damages your spiritual essence. It absolutely damages it. So we shouldn't be ever doing that. You go through this reorientation to the world, and it rips apart your spirit. Now, don't forget, spirit and soul are very different, and spirit is more external than internal. But once you start ripping apart that spirit, then you do start to reconfigure the connection between spirit and soul. And that's where your mind gets messed up. Because your mind uses some parts of the spirit as a buffer between the soul and the world, and it also uses those parts, some other parts, to interpret the world. So, that's how we start to forget, or that's how we are taught to forget what we knew spiritually. I'm going to stop here because I'm still recovering. I'm still tired. I don't have my energy back 100%, but I had to deliver that to you. I'm your brother Mary Dees. Peace, family. Peace. Oh, and I will be doing a video, hopefully before the end of the year, on the important topic of American civilization collapsing. Because it's coming, family. But I gotta wait till I'm a bit more stronger before I could do that. Peace.